Hare Krishna.
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणलिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरंगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So today is Sripad Madhavacharya's disappearance day, and tomorrow we have Ramanujacharya's appearance day. So I was asked to speak about both the acharyas. Very difficult to speak about both of them together.
We can,
a small time.
We can take only one. We can take one acharya also, Prabhuji.
Okay. then I'll talk about Madhavacharya then. So Sripad Madhavacharya, actually disappearance is actually not disappearance, because generally we understand disappearance like leaving the body and all. Sripad Madhavacharya did not disappear like the way anybody would disappear. Today Madhavacharya actually unmanifested himself, the day of unmanifestation. If you really take the word disappearance literally, it is actually disappearance. Madhavacharya really disappeared. Sripad Madhavacharya, the last pastime, this manifest world, is that he was giving a class on Aitreya Upanishad, which is a very favorite Upanishad of Sripad Madhavacharya, which talks about the Dvaita Vedanta, Dvaita Siddhanta, very explicitly. That is why, right from his childhood, this Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, is the most famous or most dear Upanishad from Madhavacharya. He was chanting the Aitreya Upanishad. All his disciples were there, and it would be a very nice place. Most of you must have been there. It would be. There is one temple called Ananteshwara. This Ananteshwara temple is a place where even Parashuram unmanifested himself. Parashuram, he entered in the heart of Lord Shiva. There is a linga there, and in the linga he is there. So Ananteshwara, who has Ananta as his Ishvara. So generally people think Ananteshwara means Lord Shiva. Actually it is not Anante. It's not Lord Shiva. It's Krishna himself, Lord Vishnu. So Lord Shiva, even if you say it's Lord Shiva, actually Ananta is in the heart of Lord Shiva. Because he took the form of Ananta and entered the same place, Ananteshwara temple. Sripad Madhavacharya was giving his discourse on his famous Upanishad, most favorite Upanishad. And then all of a sudden, flowers started falling on him. All the demigods, they are showering flowers on Madhavacharya. And all of a sudden, discourse stopped. No sounds were coming. Immediately all his disciples went and saw, removed the flowers. They did not find Madhavacharya. There's only Angavastra Madhavacharya, just disappeared. Now you may say, disappeared, where did he go then? Adrishe Raupyapite Sadrishe Badaritate. So he unmanifest, Adrishya. Disappear means Adrishya. So if you say disappearance, it means actually Adrishya. For our naked eyes, he became invisible to our naked eyes. Disappeared. So he appeared where? Badaritate. So he's there in Badari. You go to Badari, the present Badari, what you can go is Vishal Badri. But if you go further, there is one more Badri called Uttara Badri, which you cannot go with its physical body. That Uttara Badri is nothing but the Vaikunta planet of Vyasadeva in this world. So it is Vyasa who is still there with all the rishis. Because Vyasa is the Supreme Lord himself. That is why Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Ullara Vindaya Putranetraha Yenatvaya Bharataira Purnaha Prajwalido Gyanamay Deepaha. Vyasa's Pranam Mantra. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasave Namo Vai Brahmani Deva Ashishthaya Namanaha. So Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya. Vyasa is none other than Vishnu himself. So he is having a separate planet called Uttara Badri. That is the place Vyasa is there, and Sripad Madhavacharya is there serving Vyasa. So on this day, that is what happened. Madhva Navami, Maha Shuddha Navami. That is the day he disappeared. That is what is the story. Some people say he just went to Badri, and some people don't accept the story of the flowers and disappearance and all. We don't want to get into controversy, but I've heard from the sannyasis of Madhva Sampradaya that they say that the flowers came and he manifested there all of a sudden. He manifested where? He manifested in Badari, Uttara Badari. Uttara means beyond. It is the Badari which is there, what we can approach is beyond them, is there. Now, Sripad Madhavacharya is by Mukhya Prana. Technically, it's not Mukhya Prana. Pranan Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. Prana is actually the life air. He is the presiding deity of life air. Mukhya Prana. Now, he's not just another Vayu of this world. He's the Vayu of Vaikuntha. So it is an eternal associate of the Lord. Sometimes we say that, okay, Vayu is demigod, Varuna is demigod, Indra is demigod. Yeah, true. But when we say Hanuman, Mukhya Prana, he's not another demigod of this world. He is actually from the spiritual world. He is a Parshada of Narayana. So when there was a big chaos in this world, chaos is actually philosophical. So many other things are happening in this world, but the real chaos is actually when there is Mayavad. Mayavad is spreading everywhere, was so much prevalent at that time that everybody were actually having a wrong ideology about God. Not accepting God, God is not there, that is not, atheism is not such a big problem. But having a wrong ideology of God, that is a big problem. So Mayavad is more dangerous than atheism. Atheism, they say no God. But to say I am God, that is more dangerous. More dangerous than that is to say that God is, body is made up of Maya. Krishna's body is made up of Maya. That is why Mayavad is called Mayavad. Why Mayavad is called Mayavad? Because they say Ishvara is a product of Maya. Ishvara, Supreme Lord, Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, all these are the product of Maya. When Maya is affected by, when Brahman is affected by Maya, then this Brahman takes the form of Ishvara. Krishna, how did he appear? Brahman, the unmanifest Brahman, which is Nirguna, Nirakara. So many. They say Nir and then put any quality. There is no qualities. So the non-differentiated Brahman that is affected by the Vidya potency of Maya, when is are affected by the Vidya potency of Maya, then that Brahman becomes Ishvara. So that is a concept. That is why they say Ishvara is a product of Maya. That is what they call Mayavada. So it is very dangerous philosophy. And all the demigods, they approached Narayana. They said that we are all troubled by this philosophy. We just cannot tolerate people offending you. Demons are there, but this demonic philosophy is more dangerous. It's all pervading. You can have two classes, that is the demigods, the demons, devotees, and the demons. The demonic philosophy is entering the consciousness of the people, and everybody is becoming demonic. Reverse to Supreme Lord. They say if you want to become spiritual, give up Krishna, Rama, Narasimha. Then only you can become spiritual. As long as you are worshipping Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, and all these forms, then that is till the time you are in ignorance. You have to give it up. Worship. You have to give up worship of Krishna to come to the position of knowledge. That means if you are in knowledge, then you give up all kinds of worship. It's very dangerous. Then Narayana, he was wondering what to do. At that time, servant of the Lord, supreme servant of the Lord, that is Prana, Mukhya Prana. He came and paid obeisances. Then Narayana told, you do it, because you are the person who is capable of doing that. Because you helped me when I came as Rama. When Lord Ram, when he came, it was Hanuman who helped Ram. The first Mayavadi was actually, of course, Mayavad philosophy, as much as the Vaishnava philosophy is eternal, antagonistic philosophy is also there. But Ravana, he was the first person to manifest this Mayavad philosophy. So when many people told him, the person is standing in front of you is Supreme Lord himself. Please give it up. Vibhishana told. Mandori told. Many people advised Ravana that who has come here is Lord Ram, is God himself. No, he's a Nara. He's just an ordinary human being. So at that time, who helped Ram? It was Hanuman. The same Hanuman came as Bhima to help Krishna, to serve Krishna. The same Hanuman and same Bhima came as Madhavacharya to help Vyasa. In this way, Avataratraya, Mukhya Prana, he took 3 incarnations. That is, as number 1 is Hanuman to serve Lord Ram, Bhima to serve Krishna, and then Sripad Madhavacharya to serve him at Vyasa. So once Sripad Madhavacharya was giving his class, and among his disciples, there was one Grihastha disciple. Madhavacharya had very few disciples actually, in one sense. And he was teaching to the sannyasi disciples. And among all his disciples, there was only one Grihastha disciple. Of course, there were a few more, but traveling along with Madhavacharya was only one. That is Trivikramanditacharya. Trivikramanditacharya was a very great scholar at the time. He was actually a Mayavadi scholar. And he had a brother named Shankara Panditacharya. Both were born to Subramanyakya Surehe. His father was Subramanya Panditacharya. So both his wife and husband, both of them, they wanted to have a son. So they prayed to Harihara. Then Hari and Hara, both of them told, we'll manifest, we bless you. So 2 children were born. One was named of Shankara and Shankara Panditacharya, and other was named Trivikram, because Hari is Trivikrama. But somehow it so happened that Shankara Panditacharya, he was very much influenced by Madhavacharya's philosophy, and he became such a great devote of Madhavacharya, that Madhavacharya trusted him, and whatever every day he used to write Sripad Madhavacharya, he used to give it to Shankara Panditacharya. And Trigunadacharya and Shankara Panditacharya both were in the same house. That house is still there. If you go to South India, the northern part of Kerala, most northern part of the city called Kasaragod. On the bank of Payaswini, the cow mata is there. At that time, he was actually a librarian of Madhavacharya. Here, Trigunadacharya heard a lot about Madhavacharya. But from the heart, he was a Vaishnava because his spiritual master, his father told him, I taught you so much of Mayavad, but don't accept this philosophy. I taught you because I'm supposed to teach you. But this is not the right philosophy. He was shocked. But at the time, he was known to be practically the guru of all the Mayavad philosophers. When great sannyasis to come and learn from him, Trigunadacharya. So he heard Sripad Madhavacharya's philosophy here and there. So at the night, around 10 o'clock, he used to go on top of the in the godown, attic kind of thing in the house. You have some place where you can store. He used to go there, and then a small lamp, and whole night he used to read Madhavacharya. He had tears in his eyes, but he cannot openly show that I am a Madhvana because many of the Mayavadis used to come and take lessons from him. So Sripad Madhavacharya, he came once to Kasaragod. At the time, they had a debate. Sripad Madhavacharya and Trigunadacharya had a debate. Trigunadacharya already surrendered to Madhavacharya within his heart. But the debate is going on. Sripad Madhavacharya, he knew very well that now this Trigunadacharya, if I am able to convert him, then all Mayavads are converted. Like Sri Chaitanya. He knew that if I convert Sarvadacharya, then all Mayavadis are converted. I just had to defeat Sarvadacharya and convert him to Vaishnava. The whole purpose of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to Jagannath was to actually deliver Sarvadacharya. And later on, Sarvadacharya became the greatest Vaishnava. Mahaprabhu would even think twice before he would say to Sarvadacharya that I'm going. He would not tell. He had no daring to tell that. Such amount of love Sarvadacharya had for Sri Chaitanya, Grihastha Sarvadacharya, and who he wanted to convert Supreme Lord Chaitanya himself into Mayavadi. He wanted to give Mayavad education to the Supreme Lord himself. So in the same way here, Sripad Madhavacharya came. Anybody would not stand more than 7-8 minutes in a debate or an argument with Madhavacharya. Here in Kasaragoda, there's one beautiful temple, because now nobody is there to take care of it. Pujari comes once or twice a day. The temple is known as Vishnu Mangala. It is what a Itihasika, there is a Puranic history for the deity, Vishnu Mangala deity. So there the debate happened. Pond is still there where Madhavacharya used to take bath every day. That pond, he stayed there, the temple, for 7-8 days. And nobody could stand in front of Madhavacharya's arguments in establishing Mayavad in front of Madhavacharya. Nobody could stand, not more than 7-8 minutes. But here, Sripad Madhavacharya, he spent 7-8 days in arguing with Trigunadacharya, just to teach him Mayavad, the Vaishnava philosophy, in defense with the Mayavad philosophy. So when you know the antagonistic philosophy, and when you defeat the antagonistic philosophy, then you can present your philosophy in a better way, or you can elaborately present your philosophy. Then Trigunadacharya surrendered to Sripad Madhavacharya. And from that time onwards, he was traveling in Madhavacharya, learning the Vaishnava philosophy. So one day, Sripad Madhavacharya was giving a class on some Upanishad. And all of a sudden, he had tears in his eyes, and he just went inside the altar. There, he started worshipping, and nobody was knowing what's happening inside. Already half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, Madhavacharya did not come out. Then Trigunadacharya, among all his disciples, he just went inside. The door, there was a curtain, and he just opened the curtain and he saw a beautiful form three forms of the Supreme Lord, three forms of Mukhya Prana. Simultaneously, he saw Hanuman worshipping Lord Ram, and he saw Bhima worshipping Krishna, and he saw Madhavacharya worshipping Vyasa. All the three forms of the Supreme Lord and all the three forms of Mukhya Prana, both of them were there. All the three were there. Six forms. Vayu's avatars of three and the Supreme Lord's avatars, incarnations. And when he saw spontaneously, like Ganga, the flow of Ganga, 41 verses came from his mouth. And he wrote them actually, spontaneously, 41 verses. Then after some time when Madhavacharya came, he read those verses and showed to Madhavacharya that I saw these beautiful forms and spontaneously I wrote these verses. Then Madhavacharya was very happy to hear the glorification of the three forms of the Supreme Lord and three forms of Vayu worshipping the three forms of the Supreme Lord. So then Madhavacharya told it is very good, nice, wonderful thing you have written, but to see Guru independent of Krishna is Mayava. To see Krishna independent of the spiritual master is Mayava. Both of them should be glorified. That is why we say Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya. Even though Krishna, the Supreme Lord, the Guru is glorified, you are glorifying Guru. How you should glorify Guru? In his connection with Krishna. Because Guru is not independent of Krishna. If you just glorify Guru, forget that how he is connected to Krishna, if he is devotion to Krishna, then that is Mayava. So Madhavacharya composed two verses. Glorifying Narasimha. First verse, glorifying the nails of Narasimha. Nakastuti. And another verse he wrote, glorifying Lakshmi Narasimha. Two verses he wrote and then told that anybody who would like to chant the Vayustuti should chant the Haristuti before. And the end, again 2 verses. Beginning 2 verses and 2 verses in between 41 verses. Then it became as famous as Harivayustuti. Harivayustuti. Madhavacharya, Trikamanditacharya composed Vayustuti. And Madhavacharya composed the Haristuti. Hari means Narasimha, Narahari Rupa. So both put together become Harivayustuti. That Harivayustuti is actually the life and soul of all the Madhvas. Life and soul of the Madhvas. Like we have the Sikshashtakam or like that. If you don't know Sikshashtakam, you're not a Gaudiya. The same way here, if you don't know Harivayustuti, you don't chant Harivayustuti, you cannot be Madhva. So that's how this became very famous, because it came out like Ganga, Pravaha, 40 verses. So I'll chant a few verses and make you just relish a few verses. The 2 verses written by Sri Madhavacharya like this. Antasman Puruhuta Vairi Balavan Matanga Madhyatkata Kumbhochadri Patana Dikapatu Pratyega Vajrayita Shrivat Khantila Vasya Pratata Sunakara Darita Ratigura Pradvastadvanta Shanta Pravitamanasa Bhavita Gurivagai Lakshmi Kanta Samantato Vikalayan Naiveshituste Samam Pashyamuttam Vastu Duratarato Pashtam Rasuyushtamaha Yadrojot Dakshanetra Kutila Pranto Ditatmista Dyoto Mishpulinga Vasita Brahmesha Krotkara. 2 verses are composed by Sri Madhavacharya. And then out of these 41 verses, I'll just make you hear about a couple of verses, which can be kind of a pranam mantra for Madhavacharya, you can say. Srimad Vishnang Grishnadi Gunagurudava Srimadananda Tirtha Tailokyacharya Padovachvala Jala Jala Sapam Sapuspan Punantu Vacham Yatra Pranetre Tribhuna Mahita Sharada Sharadendu Jyotsna Vadrasvita Shri Dhavalita Tukupa Pravivaram Bhavara Utkanta Konta Kola Halajavita Sevananta Pragnatmak Yaradutam Modidatnavalinam Bhatyudregavagada Pakada Sakadatkara Sandishamana Panta Pragnangri Vito Titakaragara Jara Ranjisha Ranjitasha. Like that, 41 verses, like Ganga, it flowed from his mouth. So this is how Pratyaksha Sripad Madhavacharya manifested is none other than Bhima. He is none other than Hanuman. He is none other than Vayu. This Hari Vayu Sthiti. Once one of the disciples in the line of Madhavacharya, a very famous Acharya came, is Vadiraja Tirtha, who made many changes in the management system of the Madhva Matas and also revived, in one sense, the Madhva philosophy, Madhva Sampradaya. This one is Vadiraja Tirtha. Vadiraja Tirtha is actually the incarnation of the Brahmana who took the letter from Rukmini to Krishna. So Vadiraja Tirtha is a great Acharya. His samadhi is there in Sonda, Sode. If you go to South India in Karnataka, if you go towards the east from Gokarna, there is one place called Sonda in the Sirsi district. So there is samadhi is there. Bhutaraja is a very beautiful place. This Sondha or Sode Matha. So once one of the sannyasis, he said, Vadiraja Tirtha, that, oh, you are speaking something wrong, or you are speaking something very antagonistic to what Madhavacharya told, something different from what Madhavacharya is saying. Then very famous statement of Vadiraja Tirtha, he says that, I am chanting Harivaya Suti every day. Since I am chanting Harivaya Suti every day, this tongue cannot speak anything other than what Madhva has spoken. So this is one of the important philosophical points and very interesting points. That is, anybody glorifies Guru. If the tongue is glorifying Guru, the tongue cannot speak anything which the Guru has not spoken. So that is a proof of your glorification as spiritual master. So since I am chanting Harivaya Suti every day, I just cannot think of any other philosophy. This tongue cannot speak anything which is antagonistic to what Guru has spoken. So in this way, introduction of Madhavacharya will be brought from this particular pastime of Trivikramanitacharya. And affection which Madhavacharya had for Trivikramanitacharya is also very wonderful. A small child, his father was giving classes, Madhyageha Bhatt, Madhavacharya's father, Madhyageha. And he was giving daily discourse on Bhagavatam. And there was some prasanga came where there was a description of some trees. And it so happened that he was describing all the trees except one tree, which was known as Luchika. Madhavacharya, a small kid, was playing with his friends, and he just came. Father became very angry. How is it that you did not describe this tree? And his father was so shocked. And Luchika means it is Amla tree. And Madhavacharya spoke in front of all the audience there. He's happy and surprised, but at the same time, you're happy at the same time you're surprised, because why this kid became very angry because his father did not describe this Luchika tree. Because Madhavacharya, he knew that in future, Trivikramanitacharya is going to be his disciple, and Trivikramanitacharya is going to glorify Hanuman. He is going to glorify Hanuman worshipping Ram. He is going to glorify Bhima worshipping Krishna. And he is going to glorify me worshipping Vyasa. And Trivikramanitacharya belongs to Luchika Sunu Surihi. He belongs to the family of the Amla tree. Means in the sense that in villages, if you want to know the address of somebody, then the system is that, okay, that house where you have an Amla tree, big trees were there. Oh, that mango tree wala. Like that. So in their house there's a huge Luchika tree or the Amla tree. Somebody told me the tree is still there. So Luchika Sunu Surihi. So Madhavacharya is very angry. Why you don't talk about my disciple who belongs to this tree? A small kid, Madhavacharya, he was not even knowing how to walk. It's just like a baby crawling baby. And all of a sudden in the morning they find he's not there. When he was born, Madhavacharya is born, his name was Vasudeva. Vasudeva was the name of Sripad Madhavacharya. At the time, the household are very busy, and in the morning time, all of a sudden they find his boy is not there. They searched everywhere. The whole village was upset. They were crying and crying and crying. Whole day they were crying, they had not eaten anything. And all of a sudden they find from far, they leave the cows and the bulls for grazing. And what happened? There was they saw the bull coming in the evening after grazing. From far they saw there's something strange with the bull. As the bull came nearby, they could see this small little kid, Madhavacharya as Vasudev. He is holding the tail of the bull and then he's coming back home. Whole day, this 2.5, 3-year-old, he went around the whole fields holding the tail of the bull because he cannot walk. He was just at the time he was crawling with the knees. So this Madhavacharya, when he came, everybody was so happy. Whatever pastime Madhavacharya did even in childhood, it is actually Prakalagya. He knew why he went around behind the bull, because he knew there will be one bull disciple. What is a bull disciple? Sripad Madhavacharya had the biggest library at the time. Most rarest of his books was with Madhavacharya. Even Srila Jiva Goswami, he accepts it in the Sandarbhas, in the Tattva Sandarbha, he talks about the library of Madhavacharya. Because Sripad Madhavacharya, in his commentaries, he quotes certain scriptures which are not found. For thousands of years, they are not found. They are only in the name only. They are these scriptures are there, that's all. But nobody has any copy. But Madhavacharya quotes from that. Of course, he doesn't have to read any scripture. He doesn't require a library because whole library is in his consciousness. Whole Vedic library is in consciousness. So what happened is big library was there, and wherever Madhavacharya used to go, all his disciples also used to go, and the library is carried by a bullock cart, and there was a bull which was carrying the bullock cart. And one day Sripad Madhavacharya was sitting and then giving a class, and his class was like bouncers for all the disciples, very learned scholars, his disciples, sannyasa disciples. Then one sannyasa disciple of Madhavacharya, he asked, Guruji, what you are speaking, we are not able to understand. How we can explain to others? Then Madhavacharya told, you cannot understand that, this bull will understand. It was very insulting. Just imagine. There were big Sanskrit scholars there, and then in front of everyone, Madhavacharya says, this bull understand, you don't understand, that means you're worse than a bull. And some of them got really upset. Then it so happened that they left one snake, and the snake bit the bull, and the bull left the body. Sripad Madhavacharya went there and he started chanting Dvadasha Stotras, another set of scriptures, another set of 12 songs of stotras known as Dvadasha Stotra, which are very dear to the Madhvas. Along with the storyline, I'm introducing certain things which are very core to the Madhva philosophy and Madhva Sampradaya. One is Harivayasuti, another one is this Dvadasha Stotra. 12 stotras which Madhavacharya sang when he got the deity of Udupi Krishna. That story, most of you know how Madhavacharya got the story, got the deity of Madhva. While going towards the sea to get the deities, of course, he sang 5 songs. And while coming back after getting the deities in his hand, of course the deities were inside the Gopi Chandan, he sang 7 songs which are known to be the essence of the Vedanta, known as Dvadasha Stotra. So he chanted the Dvadasha Stotras and the bull came back to life. Because the Dvadasha Stotras have the potency to remove poison. Poison of the body, poison of the mind. Poison of the mind is what? Enviousness. It can remove poison of the mind, enviousness. Poison of the body can be removed. So even till today in Udupi, when we offer Bhoga to Udupi Krishna, at that time they sing the Dvadasha Stotras, because the child food have 2 kinds of poison in it. Of course, the chemicals, what we have, pesticides, urea, this is one chemical. One poison. Another is the poison of drishti. People have seen, it's such a wonderful thing. And so drishti, 2 kinds of poisons are there. To remove that poison, they chant this Dwadash Stotra even till today. There is a practice wherever Madhvas are there when they offer Bhoga, like we have Bhogarati or Bhogarati song. The same way, when the offering is going on, then they have to chant this Dwadash Stotra. So they're all completely surprised on the disciples. So in this way, the whole thing got over. In future, after Madhavacharya's disappearance, who is going to understand what Madhavacharya wrote? Nobody could understand. What he has written, Madhavacharya's commentaries are very short and precise. We can say precise rating you have. Very complicated. Only a few of the disciples who understood it. And how the world will understand. So one day, one of sannyasis, Padmanabha Tirtha, was going in his Paryatana. He reached Pandharpur. There on the bank of Bhima river, on the other side, he saw one Brahmin, but he was a king, was actually ruling a particular part. He was riding a horse, and he just went into the river with the horse. He did not get down the horse. He was thirsty. He started drinking directly. He just sitting on the horse, he was drinking directly from the river. The sannyasi, the Padmanabha Tirtha, he just looked at him and told, "Are you a bull?" Immediately, that king, he had his whole consciousness changed. From that time on, he was not interested in ruling the kingdom. And he started associating with the sannyasis, he was hearing the classes. His parents got very much afraid what to do with the young prince. Now he's getting more attached to the sannyasi. He may leave the house. So they got him married. The first night after the marriage, that wife went into the room. There on the bed, she saw a snake. She came running out and started shouting, "Snake is there, snake is there." When they went inside, there was no snake there. There was only this Jayatirtha. So then they thought, now our son is no more our son. They gave permission, go now, take sannyas. So he took sannyas, he became Jayatirtha. He is the bull. When Madhavacharya is carrying the books of Madhavacharya. Just imagine, just carrying the books as a lord. Go as a bull, dull-headed, just doing the service of carrying the books. What is the sukruti you get? The sukruti is that today, whatever Madhva's philosophy is there, it is only known to us because of Jayatirtha. He became Tikacharya. Jayatirtha is Tikacharya. Tikacharya, Sarvamula, all the set of literatures which Madhavacharya has, they are known as, all the literatures written in Madhavacharya is known as Sarvamula, Sarvamula Granthas. Sarvamula means the Mula, or the source of everything, source of all knowledge. You may say Veda is the source of knowledge, but who knows Veda? Madhavacharya knows. He is Mukhya Prana. And sometimes our Acharyas even told he is the Prana for the Veda. That is how he is so dear to Krishna. He is a Prana, he is a life of Veda. Because he brought Vedas to life. Once he was traveling, again, if I tell the entire story, I have to speak entire Madhavacharya. This Trigunatacharya who wrote Vayustiti, his son is Narayana Panditacharya. When the argument was going on between Trigunatacharya and Narayana Panditacharya and Madhavacharya, his son was just 5-year-old. Madhavacharya, he blessed him. And in future, after Madhva's disappearance, it was Narayana Panditacharya who wrote the life history of Madhavacharya in a book called Sumadhavijaya. It's a very beautiful book. It's available on the internet. You can study the entire Sumadhavijaya. Very beautiful book. Kantaya Kalyana Guna Ekadhamne Hemad. Like that goes on. Same thing. This beautiful Chanda. That is Sumadhavijaya. Very nice poetry, wonderful poetry. Because if you want to describe Vayu, then whose consort is Bharati, the goddess of learning. Is the consort of Vayu. And same goddess of learning, she becomes a potency of Sri Madhavacharya in the form of Kalyani. Of course, these are all some esoteric Madhva teaching, core Madhva philosophy and their ideology. So once Madhavacharya was traveling from Badri, all the way from Hastinapura. He came to Hastinapura and went to Kurukshetra. There, he was giving a discourse, and he was Bhima. He knows what's all happened. He pratyaksha, he saw Madhva Mahabharata. We only can read Mahabharata. And he corrected many things which were there in the Mahabharata late, and he made the real Mahabharata. Means there were some prakshiptas, so many shlokas were added here and there. So he made the Mahabharata as it is. Like Bhagavad Gita as it is, he got the Mahabharata as it is, and he was smiling. And he asked his disciples, you dig. They start digging, and they found huge golden diamond studded something. Then they dig and they saw there's a huge mace, a gada, a club. Huge. Then all of them wanted to lift it. Nobody could lift. Then Madhavacharya went and lifted and showed his Bhima farm to everyone, on his disciples. So then he put it back. I don't know where it is. Don't try to go and try to do some archaeological research there, where it is. On the way from Hastinapura, he was going towards Navadvip, Mayapur, where we met Chaitanya in the Prakat Leela. On the way, when he came to Lucknow, Lakhanpur, Lucknow is actually Lakshmana's place. So the king was Nastika there. He had an argument. The Vedas, they promise so many things. If you do this vrata and this yajna, you'll get this result. If you do this thing, you'll get result. I have seen so many people, Brahmins, they're cheating people. This vrata they do, or this yajna they do, no result comes. A lady is there and she's not having kids. They say, the Brahmana comes and says, you do this thing and you will get this thing. So he became a Nastika, anti-Vedic person. When Madhavacharya came, then he was not welcomed. The sannyasi goes to a particular place, the kingdom, the king is supposed to welcome. He told, no, I'll not. But others were very upset. The minister somehow welcomed Madhavacharya. Then king argued in the court. Madhavacharya said, there's no problem in the Vedas. Then he asked to get some grains. Then he started chanting Vedic mantras. Sanjeevani Sukta is there. So then he just threw those grains, and all the grains became seedlings and started growing just in front of the king. Madhavacharya told that Vedas are not the problem. The problem is the Adhikari who is chanting the Vedas, his potency is that they did not happen. Of course. This is how he made the Vedic mantras, gave the life to the Vedic mantras in the sense that acceptability to people. So in this way, we have Sripad Madhavacharya, who is actually his disciple, Tikacharya, is Jaitirtha. Of course, Madhavacharya has many contributions are there. Most important contribution on the order of Sri Chaitanya is to stop all the killing on the name of Vedic sacrifice. Because when Madhavacharya went to Bengal at that time, he saw there is so much of a sacrifice on the name of Vedas, sacrificing goats and all kinds of animals sacrificed in front of Durga. Mahaprabhu, he prayed, oh Lord, you are the most merciful form. Stay in your place, in your Bengal itself. There is so much of sacrifice is happening, killing is happening. Most merciful Lord, you are there, and how this is cruelty is happening. Then Chaitanya gave an order that you do something. Then Madhavacharya, he preached and then said that in the age of Kali, killing animals and sacrifices not going to give you only sin. So from that time onwards, whenever there is yajna happens, some sacrifice happens, they don't bring a goat to sacrifice, they bring a bopla and then sacrifice. You must have seen in the yajnas, they do this thing, bringing one pumpkin and then they cut the pumpkin, as a bali. So in this way, Madhavacharya saved many animals. That system started after Madhavacharya. Many dance forms were started just by the instructions of Madhavacharya. The whole Kuchipudi dance form, whole of Kathakali dance forms. So these unlimited things which Madhavacharya has established for all of us. And he was the person, in spite of all the philosophy and all the strict puja vidhi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took 2 points of Madhavacharya. One is puja, considering the deity as Krishna himself is one. Another one is Khandana, Mayavad Khandana, because of Madhavacharya's Khandana of Mayavad. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became pleased and he took initiation in something. So Madhavacharya says, no puja is complete without chanting the names of the Lord. So this is Madhava's philosophy. So we have to stop here. Any questions, please to ask.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. If anybody has any question, you could please raise your hand, or you could type it in the chat box. Prabhuji, if it's okay, I'll just take a few seconds to announce some of the upcoming programs before devotees drop. Yeah. So here are some of our upcoming programs. This coming Sunday, we have a Bhagavad Gita class by His Grace Harinam Anand Prabhu on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 314. Then next, the Saturday is also Ekadashi, fasting from grains and beans. And then on Monday is Nityananda Triodashi. We're celebrating virtually again. And the program starts at 6 o'clock, and 6:30 sharp will be Abhishek. You can witness the Abhishek opening. And followed by that, there'll be a talk. We'll be sending out a flyer soon. And then next Wednesday, Sangha is going to be, the speaker is His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu. And the topic is Lessons from the Life of Narottam Das Thakur. The rest of the programs that we have at ISKCON of Bergen, you can visit our website, iskonofbergen.org, and check it out. I would also like to welcome today on this forum His Grace Lal Govind Prabhu. He's also joined specially to hear Prabhuji. Warm welcome to you, Lal Govind Prabhu. So anybody has a question, please unmute yourself, raise your hand. There's no question that is a silly question, so please feel free, don't feel shy. I'll start with one question, Prabhuji. Can you just, okay, Isha, why don't you raise your hand? Isha, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in Udupi, they serve the prasadam on the floor, ground. So what, I did not understood what is the meaning of that. Please, will you explain?
They serve prasadam on the floor.
Yes, Prabhuji.
That is during Chaturmas. Those who are doing Chaturmas, that is a system there. In the scriptures talks about it. You cannot have a plate and eat a big feast. And also the prasadam, what they cook during Chaturmas is also different. That is not for everyone. It is exclusively for those people who are practicing Chaturmas. And in Madhva Sampradaya, after Madhavacharya, he told Chaturmas, even though it is 4 months, they practice only for 2 months because of preaching. If a sannyasi stays 4 months at one place, how is he going to preach? So they cut short 4 months into 2 months. And they say one paksha itself is also mass. So 15 days is one paksha. So 4 paksha is actually 2 months. The other 2 months, they don't practice. So Chaturmas is only for 2 months. And then during Chaturmas, this is a sister. Even till today also, sannyasis and those who are following the Chaturmas Mata, the floor is not that kind of floor. It's actually a granite thing where they put the, and then just eat, because just to maintain your body you're eating, not for sense enjoyment, because Chaturmas is meant for tapasya. It is not a daily affair. Maybe you must have gone during Chaturmas. At the time you must have seen that particular incident.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Madhav, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, my question, so in the beginning of the class, you were mentioning about Mukhya Prana. So when we're talking about Madhavacharya, are we talking about he is an incarnation of like Mukhya Pran, an associate of the Lord in the spiritual world, or are we talking about Vayudev as in the demigod in the material world? Thank you.
Mukhya Prana is the eternal associate of Narayana in the spiritual world, is the Vayu of the spiritual world. Vayu of the spiritual world. Like Hanuman is eternal associate of Lord Ramachandra. So Mukhya Prana serves eternally Hanuman as Hanuman in the spiritual world.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Shamakachari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, my question is that we are also in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, ISKCON. So how are we not, familiar with this Hari Vayu Stuti and, all these things? How are they not in our line? Thank you, Prabhuji.
According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are Madhvas. There is a group of Gaudiyas who generally are Babajis or Radhakund. They say that we are not Madhvas. We are different. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, he got the Madhva scholars who are expert in the Vedanta and Bhashya, Madhva Bhashya, and made them stay in Gaudiya Math in Mayapur, in Chaitanya Math. He gave them accommodation, along with the family, they all came. And then he insisted that his sannyasi disciples should learn Vedanta Sutras, Madhva Bhashya from them, from the scholars. So there are so many instances like that. Now, though we are Madhvas, we are philosophically Madhvas. Philosophy is Madhva philosophy. But Rasa Bheda is there. There is a difference. Rasa is there. Rasa is different. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us Vraja, Krishna Prem. So Siddhanta Bheda is not there. Rasa Bheda is there. Now, because of Rasa Bheda, and our goal is to attain Madhurya, the core aspects of the practices, we only take from the Gaudiya Acharyas. And all other practices, which are ancillary practices, are going to purify us. It will help us. But you cannot call it as a core. Like for example, there are so many stotras. For example, you have Yamunashtakam written by Madhavacharya. Definitely we chant it, but you cannot make it compulsory. Definitely you chant Yamunashtakam, very purifying, very wonderful, glorious. But for us, Guru Ashtakam is the compulsory. So there are certain things which are compulsory, certain things which are ancillary. So this Harivayashti, if somebody likes to do that, they can do, but you cannot say you have to chant because we are Madhvas. But if it is in the Madhva Sampradaya, it is a compulsory thing. You have to do that. And for them, Guru Ashtaka, Sansar Dava becomes ancillary for them. This way, we have to understand. If somebody of you want to chant, you can chant, but you cannot say you have to do it. I chant it every day because it's my childhood habit. There's nothing wrong in doing that, because that is going to help you in your spiritual progress and purification. But I cannot insist, no, you have to do it, because we are Madhvas. So in that way, you can take.
Prabhuji, and did you also say that Madhavacharya prayed to Lord Chaitanya, or he asked him about the animal sacrifices, but Madhavacharya came before Lord Chaitanya, right?
Yes. That is why I mentioned one term in his Aprakat Leela. There are two Leelas, Prakat Leela and Aprakat Leela. Do you think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not there in Navadvip? Do you think he is not doing pastimes in Navadvip? He is doing it, but we cannot see with our naked. So he is still doing it in his Aprakat Leela. Like if you go to Vrindavan, still Krishna is doing Ras, but it is Aprakat Leela. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhavacharya met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Some people say dream and all, but actually meeting only, practical meeting. It is in the Aprakat Leela. So this conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Madhavacharya, it happened. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met all the 4 acharyas in Navadvip Dham. It is there in one book called Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. Their description of how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took 2 points from each sampradaya. All these things are described.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam.
Chaitrapati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I have just come in. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Life of Madhavacharya is my first book. We read in a group, and it's really wonderful pastimes of Madhavacharya ji. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for reviving all these pastimes. Thank you. And that Shyama Kishori Mataji asked you about the second question. It is mentioned in that, like, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the dream for the preaching. Yeah. And it's really, it's coming in my mind, so I thought I should share. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
I have one question. Can you please just explain the difference in the teachings of Ramanujacharya and Madhavacharya?
See, the basic teachings are the same, but there's a difference. But if you see in the ground, they have a big fight. It is because of lack of overall understanding, because overall understanding of Chaitanya. Because of that, there is a big fight. Vedanta Deshika, who is one of the great acharyas after Ramanuja, of the Vadagalai group of Ramanuja Sampradaya, who is actually known as the Gantavatara of he is the incarnation of the bell of Tirupati Venkateshwara, Vedanta Deshika. So Vedanta Deshika, he says that if you are somehow uncomfortable with Ramanuja philosophy, you feel something, or you don't want to be with us, at least go and then surrender to Madhva philosophy. Go practice that, but never go to Shankara, never go to Madhva. Now, on the other hand, we have the same Acharya saying that there is one Ananda Tirtha. There is one Ananda Tirtha who says he's a Vaishnava. But where is Ananda in him? He questions, where is Ananda in him? Because according to the Shiva Vaishnava philosophies, the Jiva experiences the same Ananda of the Supreme Lord. Same Ananda. Because Ramanuja's philosophy is one but similar. One but similar. Shankara's is one. There's only one. There's no two there. But Ramanuja's philosophy, there are two. Supreme Lord and the living entity, they are distinct from each other. At the same time, they are similar. Now, Madhavacharya says, how can you say similar? They are two distinct. He says, in this world, two thumbprints are not similar. So in one sense, there is no much difference. That is why Madhva's philosophy is known as Tattvavada. But basically, Dvaita is the integral philosophy or the foundation philosophy of all philosophies. Though we say we are Achintya Bheda, Abheda Tattva, but we are first Bheda and then Abheda. First is Bheda, distinction. Ramanuja also accepts that. Madhva also accepts that. Everybody. Madhva is actually the person who brought out this absolute Bheda is there. And then you may talk about they are not same and similar. They may be similar. Just because they are similar, that doesn't mean they are same. So that is why it's known as Vishishtarvaita. On this side of Madhva, there are some acharyas who say that there is one philosophy of Ramanuja. They are Mayavadis in disguise. Because how can you say that the soul can experience the bliss as much as the Supreme Lord? Though they say difference, but actually they are talking about non-difference. So in this way, there is a slight fight between them. Of course, it's one of the rasas which the Supreme Lord enjoys. But both are Vaishnavas. Both chant the holy name, both worship Krishna. And when it comes to the practices, Pancharatrika Granthas becomes the adhara or the basis of Ramanuja Sampradaya, and for the Madhva Sampradaya, Tantra Sara. So there is a little bit difference in the practice of worship. Ultimately, the worship of Krishna.
Probably the destination of each, from each sampradaya, when they, after liberation, the destinations are different. Like you mentioned about the bhava that we follow, or the rasa in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, the Braja rasa, and we Goloka Vrindavan is the topmost. But when it comes to, let's say, Sri Sampradaya, or it's just Vaikuntha, or
Good question. In the Sri Sampradaya, the destination, final destination is Narayana, Vaikuntha, that is absolute, it's fixed up. Even there is Madhurya, it is Madhurya with Narayana. Okay. Now, when it comes to Madhva Sampradaya, the innermost core teachings of Madhavacharya, which is connected to us through Madhavendra Puri, is actually Madhurya in Vrindavan. What is the proof? What is the proof? The proof is Dvadasha Stotras. In the Dvadasha Stotras, the Krishna who is worshipped by Madhavacharya, he gives the identity. It's because he's carrying Krishna in the Gopi Chandan. And in ecstasy, Madhavacharya is singing, and then he gives the identity of the deity. What is that identity? What is the deity? Vrindavananjana Gokula Chandra. He is Gokula Chandra. Like your Vrindavan Chandra is Gokul Chandra. Because the whole pastime of the manifestation of the deity goes back to Dwaraka, where Devaki is pestering Krishna every day. She is crying, you did not show your childhood pastimes to me, you did not show your childhood pastimes to me. Then Krishna told, you don't have tolerated it. She became very angry. What do you mean? I am your mother. You cannot die. How can a mother not tolerate it? It's enjoyment for the mother to see the childhood pranks of her son. Then Krishna manifested Gokul there. Instead of Yashoda, Devaki is churning the butter. And Krishna did so much of mischief. He just came and took the churning rod in hand, the rope in hand. He started running. Devaki started running behind Krishna. And he ran, and Devaki could not catch hold of Krishna. Yashoda caught hold. Paramishtamatyan tadudutya gopya. Devaki could not. And Krishna is holding the churning rod in one hand and standing, and Devaki is crying, and now I'm fed up with you. Then Krishna is laughing. That is what this pastime is being indirectly hinted by Satyavrat. Tadiye chitakneshu bhaktir chitatvam. I am only conquered by my premi bhaktas. And specifically he's telling to everyone, but specifically telling to whom? Tadyesh Tagneshu, those who are captivated by the greatness of Krishna, opulence of Krishna, like Devaki. So specifically he's telling Devaki, I can be conquered by Yashoda, not by you. So that is that form which Rukmini saw, and they told, "You are so sweet. I want to see you like this here, like this one." Then Krishna told, "I give my deity." So that deity is actually Vrindavananjana Gokulachandra. Then you may say it's still Vatsalya. Continue, same Dwadash Stotra. Then he gives identity. He's glorifying, he's like that, he's from Vrindavan, all this thing. But and he says, Mandaradharin. He is lifting Govardhan. And what is his name? Govinda. And to him, Kriyatmaka is used. Kriyatmaka means one day I pay my obeisances. I surrendered to that Govinda who is carrying Govardhan. And who is along with him? Sundari Nata. Who is it, Sundari? Radharani. So it is not that we are different. There is a very great scholar, actually one of our congregation devotee, his brother is a very great scholar. He's actually he practically wrote all the books of Narayan Maharaj, and name was Narayan Maharaj. He's in Gaudiya, and he wrote one book called Kumat Kalanal. In that, all these points are mentioned about how he establishes that how we are Gaudi, we Gaudiyas are actually Madhvas. And a specific line, because Madhavacharya has got 8 matas, specific line, the mood is being carried. So Vrindavan mood is carried. And Udupi is also known as Dakshina Vrindavan. This way. Okay. So when it comes to the mood of worship, Madhva Sampradaya is very much in line with us. When it comes to puja practice, because we practice Pancharatra, or Ramanuja's Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya puja practices, they are very much in harmony with us. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there's one question in the chat. Prabhuji, just curious to know, we know that in Gaura Leela, that Ramanujacharya appeared as Anantacharya. So
Yes.
I was just wondering, did Madhavacharya appear as someone in Mahaprabhu's Prakat Leela?
Madhavacharya, if you say Hanuman, he's Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta came as Hanuman came. Murari Gupta and Madhavacharya is not different from Hanuman. You can take like that. But still, Madhavacharya, he appeared, more than appearance. Mahaprabhu, he showed mercy on Madhavacharya by taking initiation in his life. That is more spoken. If you see appearing and all, then Murari Gupta is Hanuman's incarnation, and Madhavacharya is also Hanuman's incarnation.
Someone is asking, what is the difference between the Vedas and Puranas, difference between both Sampradayas?
Difference between both Sampradayas?
Yeah.
Which both?
Vedic
Sampradaya and Puranic Sampradaya.
Yes, between the Vedas and Puranas, difference between, yeah.
Vedopa Brahmanarthaya Purnayatiti Puranaha. The whole purpose of Puranas is to bring a layman who are not qualified to understand, study the Veda, near to the Veda. That means they bring the understanding of the Vedas to everyone. That is why they are Puranas and Itihasas. So they are not different, because, like, for example, if I give you a book of Sumadha Vijaya and then say class is over, you study it. Isn't it? It's like short. But I studied it, and I lived in that Sampradaya and practices, met those people. Then I am bringing all of you closer to. So in what I'm speaking is like a Purana, which brings you closer to Madhva philosophy, Madhva Sampradaya. So Puranas do the same thing. Puranas are like friends. Like, for example, it so happened that a young boy, 15, 16-year-old boy, he has some developed from fight with his father and mother. He leaves home. Then the father calls his friend, son's friend, and says, bring him back to the house. So this friend goes to him and says, it happens, no, in my house also it happens. This all goes on. Don't ultimately, no, they're your parents. Like that, he goes on explaining and brings that son back to his parents. So all the knowledge has its source in the Veda. And the Puranas, they bring the conditioned souls near to the Vedas. Give them understanding, like a friend would talk to a friend. Vedas are like master talking to a servant. The Kavyas are a lover talking to a beloved. The three ways of explaining things. One way is what? Jadu maro, sweep. You tell the master, tells the servant. Friend has to tell, can you use the same language? The friend says, isn't it? Like a friend would tell. Then how does a wife tell the husband? Of course, these days, wife maro jaru mar like that. She says, oh, but I am very tired. Oh, you don't even love me. All these things she says. Then the husband is confused. What happened all of a sudden? Then she says, no, ghar bahut ganda pada hai. Then he understands what to do. If he's intelligent. Otherwise, what to do? So, indirectly, okay. And Srila Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbhas, he says a beautiful, he gives a very beautiful example. He says, Purnayateti Purana. Why Puranas are called Puranas? Because it completes the meaning of the Vedas. So Puranas are superior to the Vedas. Because it completes the meaning. And some people argue that the Puranas are not Vedic. Then Jiva Goswami says, if Puranas are completing the meaning of the Vedas, they should be Vedic because you have a golden ring. And there's some part which is missing, or some clip kind of thing is there, it's missing. And you can complete it with not an iron ring, iron metal, you have to complete it with only a gold. So Vedas are incomplete, but it is completed by Puranas. That is why Puranas are also Vedic in nature. So they are not inferior, rather superior. Okay. So both are same. When you harmonize both of them, that becomes a sampradaya. If you see both of them separately, neither of them are proper.
Thank you very much. Anybody else has any other question? लाल गोविंद प्रभु जी, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे?
धन्यवाद रामचंद्र प्रभु, हिज ग्रेस कमलोचन प्रभु, थैंक यू वेरी मच। बहुत सुंदर। कमलोचन प्रभु का हर टाइम हम जब सुनते हैं, मैं तो कितने सालों से सुन रहा हूँ, जब भी हम सुनते हैं कुछ नया भाव, कुछ नया मूड होता है। सो थैंक यू प्रभु जी, बहुत सुंदर मध्वाचार्य का आपने किया। हरे कृष्ण।
All right. So let us all unmute and thank Prabhuji for his auspicious time. Please visit Meera Road Temple, then take blessings of Prabhuji whenever you are in Mumbai. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
हरे
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Hare.